country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
Human trafficker.
Honorable They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds. I am in the way.
Welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Press Roundtable. Press Roundtable, yes, that's what it is. Let's look at some of the stories that are trending in detail. Part of the Supreme Court complex situated at the 3-arm zone, Abuja, has been engulfed by fire Monday. According to reports, the fire, which started around 7 a.m., caused panic among members of staff of the court, who scampered to safety. Though no human casualty was recorded, it was not clear whether sensitive documents and files were destroyed by the early morning fire. A source indicates that the fire was probably caused by electrical malfunctioning in one of the offices within the administrative wing of the court. The source confirmed that 3 offices, including that of Justice Mohammed Salahu, were touched by the fire before it was eventually put off. Meanwhile, the court is yet to issue a formal statement on the incident. When things like this happen, Nigerians begin to cry that possibly there is some kind of foul play because of the nature of our country, the history of the country is, we have cases of offices burning because of certain vital documents. And this is not the right time for the Supreme Court to ban. It's not the right time at all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bond, one more time. As you said, this is not the right time for this kind of incident, as it is well spelled out in the... There are many causes to such fire. Yes. We are talking about the Supreme Court, and it's not a structure, it's not a building that is a wooden building done by a quack. It's not something done by a quack. It's well built, and I am very, very sure that there are safety measures in that particular building. There could be a fire extinguisher, And people that are working in that environment should have been trained, if they are not, on how to handle fire incidents, should there be any. From the news, we also discovered that it started early, according to the news, Justice Sala's office. And we know who he is in terms of the Supreme Court, his position. So Nigerians want to know why. And if it's this particular one should not take the investigative officers 3 years, 4 years to investigate and bring out report. It is what Nigerians are waiting for, to know the immediate and remote cause of that fire. And we want to also add that although they said the good part was that there was no casualty as at the time of the report. And we're also waiting on the Supreme Court administration to give, their own statement. This is almost 12 hours gone, and yet they've not heard anything from them. The
statement is out, but I've not seen it.
Okay, maybe it could be out before we are discussing. But we believe our Nigerians are really waiting to know the remote cause of such fire at this time. It's very, very important that, and this calls for precautionary measures. This calls for carefulness for us, for everyone who works in any agency, any parastatal, any government, affiliated office. Workers in such an environment should be trained. They should know the first aid, step to take to handle such.
I think it's also part of the problem we have with building constructions in Nigeria.
Yes.
We'll talk about Standard Organization of Nigeria has complained about fake cables, fake electrical materials.
That's correct.
And all that.
And Sabon, it will interest you to know that presently, Nigerian cables are the best in the world.
Yes, are better than the, yes.
I'm giving you facts. No, I am talking from what I know.
Yes.
Nigerian...
No, it was said by some
yes,
that the point is that our cables are better than the ones they imported. So
yes.
they encourage Nigerians
speculation would be that why in the office? And they just give us a hint that some documents were engulfed. And we are yet to know what documents. Is it really related to what is happening within this period? Now, you know what I'm talking about.
Sometimes when this happens, it happens in accounts offices. And they say they want to hide something. This one is the judge's offices.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I just pray that it's just electrical spark.
Spark, yes.
And it doesn't... I know what fire disaster is.
Yes.
I know the kind of harm and danger.
Yes. The panic.
I've had experience. Country. I know what it is, so it's not easy.
Yeah.
A lot could be lost.
Yeah.
Now, use of Ikuru town in the Andoni local government area of Rivers State have accused the traditional institution in the community of shortchanging them in employment slots given to the community by an indigenous oil company operating in the area. The youth allege that the chiefs hijacked 9 of the 12 employment slots given to Ikuru Town Youth Council by the oil firm. Speaking with newsmen in Port Harcourt, a youth leader in the community, Ryder Hector Ikuru, lamented the injustice meted out to the youths by the chiefs. He said the chiefs went out and removed 9 out of 12 slots given to the youths by Lock Oil and Green Energy Company, which he operated in the town. They used their children who were not part of the list, unquote, to replace those 9 names. Want them to bring the names back. We, the youth of Ikuru town, are not happy to what is happening in our community. The youth are talking. That Hector Ryder looks like someone I used to know in Radio Rivers. They are vociferous. They will complain.
Yeah.
You see, one thing is clear. It looks like a joke, but issues like this are serious community relations crisis. In most communities, we have said it on this program, that oil firms enjoy divide and rule. And we have said that their public relations teams should do better than what we are seeing. Some of the conflict in Niger Delta are caused by bad community relations or public relations agenda.
That's correct.
And you see that when a company enters a community, by public relations principles, the first thing you have to do the PR team have to do is to segment the publics. And the publics will be, you have the chief.
Yes, true.
You have the youths. You have women leaders.
Yeah.
You have the elite class.
Yeah.
You have the political class.
Yeah.
All these various groups are important
In the community.
and they must be carried along in whatever community development program or corporate social responsibility that you owe the community. And those corporate social responsibility must be dispensed without fear or favor. And what is happening here is that they chose to work with the chiefs, and the youths are protesting.
Mr. Bond is a recurrent decimal in this part of Nigeria because of we are blessed with oil. And as you said rightly, I don't really know what the companies, what is their joy to see that the community they are operating in is in disarray, is in turmoil, is scattered. There is no peace. I'm yet to understand how they feel comfortable to operate in such an environment. But, well, just like you said, but one thing I also want to point out is if I'm to go by what is in the news, the rider himself is alleging that the chiefs removed 9 names of the youths and replaced those 9 names with their children.
Which is only 3 were left.
With left for the youth executive or the youth body to now submit 3 persons to add to what they have taken. You see, that is where we should play down on greed. And just like you said, the chiefs cannot work efficiently and effectively in that community without the youth. The youth also need the chiefs for peace to reign in that community. So as it stands now, just like you've also mentioned, the PRO team should delve in and ensure that they negotiate appropriately so that who has what or who needs what or who deserves what is given to them. And for the chiefs, if what the youth president is alleging, that they only took 9 and left 3 for them, that ratio will not work. That's the truth about it. It is not proper for them to do.
And they gave it to their own.
To their own. That's the alleged. Now, but one thing.
Also youths.
Yes. No, but that's another part I want to differ from the youth president. The children of the youth are youths of the children of the chiefs are members of the youth. So if invariably, even if it was given to them, I think the anger of the youth is that it wasn't with their consent. They monopolized it and now collected what they wanted and left the rest.
No, but even then, you look at it, there's no equity there.
Yes.
There's no fair play.
There's no fair play.
That's the point.
That's the point. And that's what the youth president is agitating for. If I believe they weren't carrying along. That's why the youth president haven't been privy to the information that there were 12 slots. And now they are only telling him 3. It means, no, I am aware that the slots were 12. What happened to the other 9?
Exactly.
I get my point now. So out of the 12, you're only giving us 3. What happened to the other 9? Tell us whom you have sold it to. Answer. It baffles us to know that chiefs of community sell opportunities like this to other members of the public.
No, you see, you just hit the nail on the head. You see, I was going to talk about it. In my community is an oil-bearing community.
All right.
We have had stories of chiefs selling scholarships.
Oh.
The immediate impacted community.
Yes.
Selling scholarships rather than spread out to the larger community. Larger members of the community. Somebody could come from Imo State and buy a scholarship for a master's program in engineering from a community representative in the oil firm.
Yeah. And
so the oil company becomes useless, as it were. And then the corporate social responsibility that ought to be beneficial to the people are not given to them. That is a problem. We are, whether youths or chiefs themselves, our community leaders, whether they are youths, they are chiefs, they are whatever, should learn to be responsible and responsive.
That's correct.
Because tomorrow we are saying, we're oil bearing, we are not benefiting. Yet we are selling the opportunities out to other communities.
Mr. Bone, can I come from another perspective? Yes. I studied electrical engineering. Okay, sorry. And you see, if in a community there is such an opportunity for somebody who is well trained, like a media personnel is needed for a particular position, and the community does not have one, it brings a lacuna in that slot. So what I'm telling the youths out there now is a message to them that please, all you have to do, all you need to do, get education, because opportunities like this come. And when such opportunities exist and when they come, if you are qualified, you have a better case than when they say, okay, I need a welder from this community. And there is nobody that can do the welding job. And we need somebody from this community. What happens to that slot? It's a question that the youth must answer. So as much as the agitation is going on, let us also encourage ourselves as youth, be disciplined enough to learn trades, to be ready for opportunity that have not come, so that when it comes, we are ready to grab it. Thank you, sir.
So let's look at another story, and very, very pathetic one from Benue State.
Yeah.
Unidentified gunmen on Sunday night invaded the residence of Benue State Commissioner of Information, Culture and Tourism, Matthew Abo, and abducted him. The incident was said to have occurred around 8 p.m. at the country home of Zaki Bam, Uku local government area of the state. The commissioner was said to have been at home with his family members when the gunmen came on 4 motorcycles and found their way into his living room. An eyewitness said the kidnappers came on 4 motorcycles, ordered everyone in the house, including the commissioner's wife and children, to lie face down, and took him away to an unknown destination. One of the motorcycles. The abductors forced the commissioner to sit astride behind the rider, one of the motorcycles, while a gunman sandwiched him. Chief Press Secretary to the governor, Ula Tosso, confirmed the abduction of the commissioner. You see, Benue State has had issues of banditry. And this time around, they have gone beyond farmers. It used to be others farmers' crisis. Religious groups, most reverend fathers, most churches were invaded, almost everybody killed.
Yeah.
They have that story. Now it is political elites that have been targeted. Invaded a family with motorcycles, and a family of a high-ranking political officer in the state, a commissioner. Are they safe? If that will happen to a commissioner, what about the ordinary man in the state?
That's the question that is begging for answers. Yes. One thing I want to ask, wasn't this commissioner given security personnel? Because none is being mentioned in the story. Yeah. I believe as a commissioner, sir, you see, these are the things we should prioritize in our society. We know that we are all equal in the sight of the law, but there are certain responsibilities that some people are saddled with that demands extra care, extra security, to be very candid. And for such a man like that, a commissioner in the state, where was the policeman attached to him? What happened to the security personnel? Yes. And from just the way the story goes, with his family, it means he was vulnerable to a large extent. He was vulnerable. And they were all asked to lie down, and they took him away. Now, look at the trauma that the family will be going through. The family is traumatized at this moment. And this is reoccurring. You see, if I may go with this adage, they used to say, if dog bites you once, it was a mistake. The dog is mad. But if the dog bites you twice, it is no longer the dog. Something is happening to you. So at this point in time, what is happening to Benue State government? That they have been, are they trying to let the Nigerians know that actually they are helpless?
No, I think that virtually every community, every section of the country
is attacked.
Is attacked. It's vulnerable. Look at what's happening in Imo State. And abduction, kidnappings here. A police officer was beheaded in Rivers State. So it's not peculiar to Benue State. It is something that is common in the northeast, northwest, north central, now southeast, south, virtually all parts of the country. One major issue that has to be handled and handled seriously in this country is security. No matter what we do, lobbying the international community to come here to invest, if we don't secure the environment, we are wasting our time.
That's good.
There's much we can take in this half hour. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we will hit the road once more with more stories. Don't go away. Welcome back. It is the Atlantic Television Network Press Round Table. We're in the second segment of the program. Next half hour, we will be talking more stories. And some of the stories are interesting. Mostly rights concern, Boric has hailed the military for uncovering a gun-making factory in Kaduna State. Ishaq Akintola, Executive Director, Morik, said this in a statement on Monday in Abuja. Akintola described the military operation as a major breakthrough and significant eye-opener in the efforts of security agencies and the Kaduna State government to unmask those behind the violence in the state. A gun-making factory was discovered in Kafanchan, Jama local government area of the state, on Friday, September 22nd. Different types of guns, ranging from rifles, gunshots, shotguns, AK-47 rifles, submachine guns, pistols, and ammunition were found by soldiers of Operation Safe Haven. Also found were police and army uniforms. Those arrested were Napoleon John, Monde Dunia. We commend the Nigerian Army for this discovery. It marks a major breakthrough and a significant eye-opener in the efforts of security agencies to mask those behind the violence in Kaduna State. You know one thing about this story?
Sure.
There's an element of sarcasm there. And that's why the names are there. The names are not Muslim names. They are not Fulani men that attack and kill Christians in southern Kaduna. Kafanchan is in southern Kaduna.
Yeah.
So the Morik director there is kind of celebrating the fact that some of those who cause trouble in the state are not Muslims after all.
That's the message.
Some of them bear Christian names. Yeah. That's what he's saying.
That's the message he wants us to.
So there's a little bit of sarcasm there.
Yes. We must, first of all, hail the security operative, the military, who did their best to uncover such a hideout. It baffles me to know that we have gun manufacturing industries or companies, so to say, in Nigeria. And we should think better ways to do that. For them to, if they could manufacture AK-47, pistol, and all that they are doing. And I want to ask a question. Is it that this has been in existence? Because setting up a gun manufacturing company is not what you do. You use your hand paper and just design. is something that is carefully done. Is it that where it was located, the members of that community, didn't they know that that was what was going on there? Couldn't they have given a hint to the security agencies that this is what is happening here? For the fact that the military is uncovering it now, I believe it didn't start now. So it also tells us that community security, members of the community owe the government, owe the citizens responsibility to work or to give vital information to the military or to the security agency. Just like I am also aware that for them to have uncovered it, it must have been as a tip-off of information given to the military. And we really need to hail the Nigerian military for this feat. Now, those who have been caught, please let it not take 10 years to investigate, and it will now be swept under the carpet, and they will now be brought back into the society, and maybe they come to know now that it was so and so that told the military that we are doing this, that person's life is in danger.
You know one thing about this? Some of those who are found to have been involved in this, they have been former workers in the military hardware, software company.
Yes.
In Kaduna State.
That's correct, yes.
So they may have had that
training.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they came to but one of the important commentary in this matter is the fact that Nigeria has become a gun-running state.
Straight.
And it's dangerous for our security.
Yes.
If it becomes much more bigger than it is today, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria will become more serious.
That's correct.
Because to become a gun-running state means that everybody will be armed. As it is in the United States, in Texas, and some of the US. And Nigeria cannot manage such a social problem.
We are not ripe for it.
Now we have issues of importation of arms that are gotten at the borders by customs, by Navy, and all that. They've been intercepting them. Some are hidden in cars, engines, and all that. Now, this is now compounded by gun manufacturing outlets in Nigeria. It means that insecurity is far from ending in this country. And if this is stopped, it should not stop there. More effort should be made to comb the country to find out where this could be happening.
They have branches, they have affiliates,
Yes.
they have marketers, they have. If you don't have a market for a product, you won't go ahead producing it. That's one thing. And I want to also look at it that if at this moment the Nigerian military have been able to uncover this factory, one thing it tells us, recently it was over the news where the IG was saying everybody who has been given a license, who has a license to own a gun, they are going to review such licenses and retrieve most of them if they are not satisfied with you having a gun. Now we are discovering gun manufacturing companies within the country. Just like you said, it tells us that we should be careful of what happens in the future, because it could grow to an extent where before you know it, somebody is bringing that gun. Somebody is walking on the road with gun. It won't only be police officers that will be carrying
that is
gun.
The point, because a gun-running state is an endangered state.
It's an endangered state.
And if Nigeria becomes a gun-running state, then we are not disciplined.
We can't manage it now,
It will be worse than what's happening in America. America children come to class and shoot their fellow pupils and all that. Nigeria will be worse.
We can't manage. We are not ripe for it now.
So something should be done early before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Because there are two things that embolden criminality or criminals: drug and weaponry. These two. And so NDLA is there fighting drugs. Then we should make sure that we comb all the nooks and crannies of this country.
We should.
To bring out all the arms and ammunition to stop violence. Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe, OPDS, has intercepted 8 barges, smuggling over 100,000 liters of adulterated diesel in Rivers State. Commander Joint Task Force South OPDS, Rear Admiral Olusegun Ferrari, said this while presenting the seized barges and petroleum products to newsmen in Bonny yesterday. He said the vessels containing adulterated diesel were impounded by security forces during a stop and search operation across several creeks. Represented by OPDS Maritime Component Commander, Commodore Adetukun Siya Bade, Ferreira said the seizure was made possible with task forces involvement in several searches. The seizures were done so as part of the directives given to OPDS by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to ensure total eradication of oil theft. Acting on this directive, the OPDS pushed further its operation, resulting in the arrest of 8 barges dealing with suspected illegal refined diesel automobile gas. The barges cumulatively had over 100,000 liters of diesel stored inside different compartments in Bonny area, River State, he said. Well, we're talking about bullfire, oil theft, and all that. It's a criminal thing. People break the pipeline and steal oil. And when we talk about adulterated diesel, the bullfire thing does diesel very well.
That's correct.
And does kerosene, but has not been able to do PMS very well.
Very well.
So once you hear adulterated diesel, then that must be from the bullfire group. And they have been intercepted. Look at 100,000 liters.
Wow.
Because one thing about bullfire diesel is that there were allegations by some journalists in the state who alleged that even the flyover bridges were built with bullfire diesel. That Julius Berger was patronizing bullfire diesel. There are some hospitals, it was a research.
Yes.
I met some journalists in NUJ and they brought research and they brought evidence that even hospitals were using bullfire diesels.
Yes,
some
it's far cheaper.
Were using, and it's not harmful to the machinery.
That's the experience.
So that is what is happening. For you to have 100,000 in a badge, it means that there's a large-scale patronage.
That's correct.
And it's not just about intercepting this diesel, it's about stopping the occurrence of this bullfire business.
Mr. Bone, you know, the news, they talk about illegal refinery.
That's it.
They talk about crude oil theft. They talk about, in fact, the oil and gas industry is an old story in Nigeria. And just as I've often said, this business is not for the poor. Oil theft business is not for the poor. I can put a cube of sugar in my pocket and you wouldn't know. But I can't put 100,000 barrels of crude in my pocket. It's not done. That's not the kind of business for it. So this thing we are talking about is not done by mere citizens. It's done by those, the elite, those who have the capacity to sponsor such. I want to even ask a question rhetorically. Why didn't they burn the badge? I haven't discovered it was an illegal. You know that's the syndrome now.
No, they have stopped that.
You catch, Mr. Bond.
There was a petition.
You catch a badge with illegal. This is illegal. You set it on fire. So why you shouldn't have just set it on fire? Let us know that's the process.
100,000 liters of diesel.
The other one. You know what happened to it? Now, the owner of that badge is who? We need to know. Where is it coming from? Where was it going to? These are questions Nigerians want to ask before we trust the government, before we trust the security agency that actually they are doing their work well. Is it because allegedly the owner of that badge couldn't settle them, so it has become a news? Will they tell Nigerians that throughout the night or throughout the week, this was the only one that moved? Sir, if you go to, this is my own eyewitness report, if you go to Chuba Bridge now, Chuba Bridge, from this 7, 8, 9, 10, you see security officers there. And trucks move through that route every night.
Some of these are loaded
every night. I'm telling you of what I know. This is my own eyewitness report. So these things have become, in quote, a norm, and you are a victim if you don't comply to terms and conditions. So for me, I would want the government and the security agencies to double their effort for we to trust them. And additionally, if from what you just said, some research has been made and it has been discovered that even the Kpo fire, in quote, is a local name for it because it is not really legally licensed, the process and that. We have advocated that these guys that use this crude method of refinery, tell them come. Let us teach you the better way of doing it so that you'll not be harmful to the environment. Then you give them the enabling environment, give them the license to do this thing. In China, sir, most of the things we buy and import in China, if you go to see the factory, they are so small-scale industries. Just a small room, the government encourages them, tell them, okay, observe these safety measures, this standard, and you are good to go.
Yes, one thing about China is a productive community.
Yes.
Everybody's involved.
Everybody is doing something.
And sometimes they blame them for having cheap labor and most things.
Yeah. So if
that's American gimmick.
Yes.
Well, let's take the last story and we'll also talk extensively about it. The Cement Producers Association of Nigeria has warned that the ongoing plan of the federal government to introduce concrete roads will raise the price of cement to 9,000 naira per bag from the current price of 5,000. Also called on the current administration to permanently address the perennial cement price hike problem by facilitating larger participation in the cement industry, noting that Nigerians have no business buying cement for more than 5,600 per bag. The association, in a statement jointly signed by the National Chairman, Prince David Iweta, and National Secretary Regan Ufomba, on Sunday commended the Works Minister's position on cement-made roads, but warned of the consequences if the supply end is not addressed properly. A solution, the cement producers urged the government to lay more emphasis on road design that allows both cement technology and asphalt pavement to run concurrently and provide ample time for a smooth transition that allows contractors to invest in commensurate and requisite equipment and retooling. The statement read, "Our findings from various parts of the country show that cement sell for as high as 6,000 naira per bag in rainy season. Our prediction is that it will sell for over 9,000 per bag in the dry season, especially when with the pronouncement of the Honorable Minister of Works on cement technology and matching order in housing by Mr. President. If the government does not take proactive steps, if nothing is done, this is dangerous.
Very
You see,
dangerous.
there's something good about using cement to do road before asphalting. Growing up in Port Harcourt, in this state, we saw MCC do that. We saw Dumais do that.
Dumais.
Each time before they start construction, they pour cement and all that. And it lasts. Even in the north, we see that happen. And the famous Abacha Road. Abacha Road. That interlocking kind of, it was used.
Yeah.
So this young man, the Minister of Works, wants that to be introduced in civil engineering works in Nigeria. But the Cement Manufacturers Association are saying that it will make cement scarce. And once there's scarcity, the price will jump. So something has to be done about production, to give impetus to that kind of. So there must be a gradual process. And the fear is that cement may rise up to 9,000. Oh, that would be terrible. Your last take on this, so that we can
Mr. Bond, I want to appeal. If there will be anything that will be subsidized in Nigeria, please let them consider subsidizing cement. At least we are not importing it. We don't extract it, take it outside the country, refine it before bringing it back. That one is domiciled in Nigeria. Because anything that happens to cement that makes it 9,000 per bag.
It will not be there again.
If you are talking about building. People will not live in houses because it will affect the cost of rent in the country. Most times, people who live even in this town, Port Harcourt, they work for rent every year. Now that cement is 5,000 plus. So when you now consider it getting to 9,000, it means we just tell our landlords, oh, we are not living in your house. Everyone will bring out their property and live outside.
And people will live in uncompleted buildings.
That is just the thing. Now, secondly, I don't really